And welcome to another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I am your host, Shara Chan. Today is Sunday, October 13th, 2019. Got a lot of really cool stuff to go over this week, so let's get right down to it, shall we? In Yu-Gi-Oh! News, the new ban list dropped on October 9th and goes into effect on October 14th. Let's take a quick look at the full list of changes, then I'll go over the forbidden list changes, limited list changes, and semi-limited list changes. Then next week, I'll bring you the list of cards that are no longer limited, and we'll go from there. So first off, we have the forbidden list. The changes include Guard Dragon, Agar Pain, and Nightmare Mermaid. The limited list change only was Sky Striker, Mecha, Widow, Anchor. The semi-limited list change was Dark Armed Dragon, and the cards recently off the list include Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End, Destiny Hero Malicious, Aether the Heavenly Monarch, Elemental Hero Stratos, Inzektor Dragonfly, Shuret Strategist of the Necros, El Shaddai Construct, Royal Tribute, and Super Rejuvenation. Going in depth with the recently banned cards, we have Guard Dragon Agar Pain. It's a dark dragon type monster, and it is a 1500 attack Link 2 monster with Link arrows top center and top and bottom center. It requires 2 dragon monsters, and its effect reads: you cannot special summon monsters except dragon monsters. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 dragon monster from your extra deck to an extra monster zone or main monster zone you can summon to that 2 or more Link monsters point to. You can only use this effect of Guard Dragon Agar Pain once per turn. You can only special summon Guard Dragon Agar Pain once per turn. The next card on the ban list is Nightmare Mermaid. This is a Water Fiend Link monster with a bottom center Link arrow. Has 1000 attack and is a Link 1 monster. Requires 1 Nightmare monster except Nightmare Mermaid. Its effect reads: if this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 card, special summon 1 Nightmare monster from your deck. Then, if this card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Nightmare Mermaid once per turn. Monsters on the field lose 1000 attack and defense unless they are co-linked. Great blow to the Nightmare decks. On the limited list, we have Sky Striker, Mecha, Widow, Anchor. It's a quick play spell card. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 face-up effect monster on the field. Negate that face-up monster's effects until the end of this turn. Then, if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can take control of that monster until the end phase. On the semi-limited list is Dark Armed Dragon. Of course, everyone should be familiar with this card. It's a dark dragon type monster, 7 stars, with 2800 attack, 1000 defense. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by having exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard. You can banish 1 dark monster from your graveyard, then target 1 card on the field and destroy that target. So it looks like Konami might be trying to limit how dragon decks are run. If you have any comments or concerns about the new ban list, especially the forbidden list, limited list, and semi-limited list changes, please let me know. This is a conversation, really, honestly, that we're having, me with you, the listeners, and it's kind of starting to feel a little one-sided. So if you have any comments about the ban list, how you think this is going to affect the meta, please let me know. I'll give you the ways that you can contact the show at the end of the episode. That's pretty much all we have for Yu-Gi-Oh! News this week. On to the next segment. In Pokemon news, Pokemon Go has been Pokemon No on this Greek island for the past 7 months. Pokemon Go players in a Greek island have turned to the mobile game's global community for help, as it has been about 7 months since the last Pokemon spawned in the area. In a post on the Sylph Road subreddit, a resident of Salamina the largest island in Greece's Saronic Gulf and 10 miles off the coast of Athens, pleaded for assistance in getting developer Niantic Labs to listen to the plight of the Pokemon Go players who he represents. Pokemon Go utilizes mapping data provided by OpenStreetMaps, an open source service that anybody can edit. Unfortunately, this means that there may be some inaccuracies, and for the players of Salamina, OSM is the root of all their problems. The Redditor, who goes by the name Jan's Blazer, said that the whole Saronic Gulf was tagged as natural equals bay, including the islands of Salamina, Aegina, Agistri, and Poros. This told Niantic's servers to stop spawning Pokemon in the area, as it is supposedly submerged in water. OSM has since replaced the tags for the inhabited islands, but Niantic has not updated Pokemon Go to look at the fixed version. Pokemon Go, tauntingly, still works in Salamina and the 3 other islands. According to Gansblazer, the hundreds of Pokestops on the island are still there, but the only way to try to get Pokemon to spawn in their area is to pay for lures and incense. In the meantime, the only thing that players have been able to do in the game is to fight raid bosses, as the core experience of catching Pokemon has been taken away from them. Quote, "Our reports to Niantic have gone either unanswered or replied to with general responses such as go play somewhere else, visit a place with more Pokestops, or even the ridiculous answer of check if your mobile data GPS is active," a Salamina player told Eurogamer. This is really our final shot before completely giving up on the game. Now, Niantic has not responded to the issue, and it is unclear if they will pull in the latest OSM version to revive the Pokemon Go community of Salamina. One suggestion to try and fix the problem, in case it will take a while for the OSM update, is to place a lure on all the Pokestops of the island while waiting for a permanent solution. That's pretty much all we have for Pokemon news this week. On to the next segment. In gaming news, physical copies of Overwatch on Switch don't include a cartridge. If you're planning on picking up Overwatch for Nintendo Switch this week, it's out on Tuesday, October 15th, by the way, you may just want to grab your copy from the Nintendo eShop instead of trekking out to a brick-and-mortar retailer. The physical version of Overwatch for Switch doesn't contain a physical cartridge, just a download code. In some ways, that makes sense. Overwatch is an online-only multiplayer game, and the game has been updated consistently over the past 3 years. The PlayStation 4 install is pushing 30 gig at this point, for example. A physical cartridge would be little more than a digital key to the game, which regularly receives new content, but it makes less sense to ship a plastic case to stores with a digital code printed on a piece of paper, despite Overwatch being a marquee Switch release that probably should have a physical presence in stores. So if you were thinking about buying Overwatch physically for the purpose of having a game card that you could use on multiple Switch consoles, consider this a public service announcement. It says so right there on the box, game card not included, but plan your purchase accordingly. Also in gaming news, Fortnite Season 11, the End event destroyed everything with a black hole. Fortnite Season 10 concluded with a big in-game event that looks to be ushering in significant changes for the wildly popular Battle Royale title. Developer Epic Games has been teasing that The End was coming over the last few weeks, and we finally know exactly what that means. As expected, once the countdown clock struck 0, the new rocket the mysterious visitor had built at Dusty Depot launched, creating a new rift in the sky. This set off a chain reaction. The other rifts around the island began pulsating, and multiple rockets emerged from them and zipped around the sky until they all converged and smashed into the 0 point beneath the giant meteor, sucking the meteor into the rift. After a moment of stillness, another rift opened up in the sky, and one final rocket emerged and honed in on the 0 point, setting off a massive shockwave that knocked players into the sky. The rocket was followed by the meteor, which also smashed into the 0 point, creating a cyclone of energy that sucked players, the battle bus, and everything else in, leaving nothing but a black hole. It appears that series of events really did mark the end of the game, at least for now.
Players who remain in the event playlist can do nothing but watch the black hole, and those who exit the game and try to log into a new match are unable to. Epic hasn't formally said anything about what transpired, but following the event, the official Fortnite Twitter account also updated its banner to a picture of the black hole. If you missed the event, you can watch a replay of it on Twitter. It remains to be seen what this means for the future of Fortnite, but rumors about the new season and upcoming changes to the game were plentiful online and in the various gaming communities. Before Epic had even hinted at what was to come, there were reports of new locations and gameplay changes. One leak included that a new Fortnite map was indeed on the way. Fans also recently spotted an apparent leaked image for Fortnite Chapter 2 on the Italian App Store, suggesting the game will be rebranded following the end of Season 10. Ahead of the big Season 11 event, Epic issued the last set of Season 10 challenges, many of which paved the way for the new season. These involve finding recordings left behind by the mysterious visitor. You can see the guides for the visitor recordings and other challenges from the season in the complete Fortnite Season 10 Challenges Roundup, available on GameSpot. Epic still hasn't announced when Season 11 of the game will officially begin, but we do know one thing that the new season will bring: bots. As part of its recent matchmaking challenges, Epic says it will introduce AI-controlled opponents to Fortnite beginning next season to help players hone their skills. You can catch up on everything that GameSpot knows about Fortnite Season 11 in their roundup. That's pretty much all we have for gaming news this week. On to the next segment.
In movie news, Kevin Smith's new movie, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, will be having its Phantom event showings this Tuesday and Thursday, October 15th and 17th. Now, it is important to know which showing you will be attending, as each showing will have its own special bonuses for attending. If you attend on Tuesday, October 15th, you will get a special edition poster for the movie. If you attend on the showing on October 17th, there is going to be a special word from the stars of the movie, Jay and Silent Bob, or Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, after the movie. Afterwards, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes will be taking Jay and Silent Bob Reboot on the road, going to various cities. I believe at last count, he said there were 60-some cities that he is going to be taking the movie to. And at each movie, they will be doing a Q&A session after the movie is over. So if you can't attend the Phantom events screenings, make sure you check the Smodco website for tickets for the tour. And if you can't afford those tickets, and trust me, they are expensive. I purchased my own tickets, and for 2 tickets, it was nearly $100. You might want to decide to go to the Phantom Events screenings. You just make sure to check the Phantom Events website for what theaters in your area are showing those screenings. Also in movie news, speaking of Kevin Smith moves ahead with Clerks 3 after Jeff Anderson signs on. Dreams do come true for Jay and Silent Bob and Kevin Smith. On Tuesday, with just 2 weeks left before the opening of his Jay and Silent Bob reboot, the director announced on social media that Clerks 3 is a go. Previously, Jeff Anderson, who plays Randall Graves in the first 2 Clerks movies, did not sign on to the project, and Smith shelved the Clerks 3 script. But the director continued to hold a candle for the unmade film. In August, he hosted a reading of the script to benefit the First Avenue Playhouse in Atlantic Highlands. When Smith finished the first draft of the script in 2013, he called its 137 pages The Empire Strikes Back of the Clerks trilogy. Now, Anderson is back on board with the Clerks train, and Smith is teasing a new script he just started to write. Smith, a Red Bank native who grew up in Highlands, shared the news on Instagram, where he shared a photo with Jason Mewes and Anderson. They had talked about making the movie when they were signing Clerks merchandise. Quoted, "We talked about making a movie together," Smith said. "It'll be a movie that concludes a saga. It'll be a movie about how you're never too old to completely change your life.
It'll be a movie about how a decade-spanning friendship finally confronts the future. It'll be a movie that brings us back to the beginning, a return to the cradle of civilization in the great state of New Jersey. Whether that confirms the movie will be filmed in New Jersey is unclear, but seems likely, although Jay and Silent Bob Reboot was filmed in New Orleans. Quoting, "It'll be a movie that stars Jeff and Brian O'Halloran," Smith continued, "with me and Jay in supporting roles. It'll be a movie called Clerks 3. To be great is to go on. To go on is to go far. To go far is to return. And we're all gonna return to the scene of the crime. This won't be the old script we almost made a few years back. This is a completely new screenplay that I just started writing last night, and so far it's like a dream come true." Now, Smith also talked about how his big reunion with Ben Affleck, who plays a part in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot as his chasing Amy character Holden McNeil, alongside Matt Damon, who reprises the role of Loki from Dogma, inspired his reunion with Anderson. Quoted, "After mending fences with Ben Affleck earlier this year, I was hoping for a chance to do the same with Jeff," Smith said. "The biggest thanks ever go to Jeff for being receptive to the idea at all. This means I'm going to get to play with my two favorite in-action figures again, Dante and Randall." Now, Clerks was the black and white comedy that made Kevin Smith a name in Hollywood after its premiere at Sundance in 1994. Old Bridge's Brian O'Halloran, now 49, starred as Dante Hicks, who manned the register at the Quick Stop in Leonardo and wasn't even supposed to be here today. Anderson, also 49, who grew up in Atlantic Highlands and went to high school with Smith, played video store employee Randall Graves, who is always busting Dante's chops or generally neglecting his duties. Smith would go on to make a string of movies set in his New Jersey View Askewniverse, many of which get mini-sequels or tie-ins in the forthcoming Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. The director filmed Clerks after his own shifts at the Quick Stop. The store makes a reappearance in Reboot. Its facade was reconstructed in New Orleans, bringing Smith to tears. This year, Smith marked the 25th anniversary of that premiere. The movie's official release was almost exactly 25 years ago on October 23, 1994. Made for a budget of $27,000, Clerks went on to gross $3,151,130 domestically. Now, the cast of Clerks, apart from Anderson and Jackson's Lisa Spoonhour, Dante's ex-girlfriend Caitlin Bree, who died in 2017, are one in a long line of guest appearances and cameos in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which will debut in a 2-day Fathom event screening on October 15th and 17th, before Smith and Jason Mewes take the movie on the road for their Reboot Roadshow, which launches in Asbury Park on October 19th. Quoting, "2 weeks from the debut of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, I'm ecstatic to announce our imminent return to Quick Stop," Smith said. "So I assure you, we're open." In 2012, Smith said that Anderson and his other longtime collaborator, Clerks producer Scott Moser, would not be a part of a Clerks 3 until an audit of residuals from Clerks 2 was settled with the Weinstein Company, which had produced the film. After the sexual assault allegations against Harvey Weinstein came out in 2017, Smith pledged to donate all residuals from his Weinstein-backed films to a nonprofit, saying he would contribute $2,000 each month to women in film. He also offered to serve as a mentor to women filmmakers. Of course, there would have been no Clerks sequels if Smith had stuck with his original ending for the first Clerks, in which Dante is shot dead by a customer who loots the cash register. So I'm really excited for this movie. Obviously, I covered two completely different news stories that kind of covered the movie in the same vein, but obviously, I've got my tickets to Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and as soon as Clerks 3 comes out, I'm definitely going to be down for seeing that in the theaters. If you're excited for this movie, for Reboot, or to see what happens with Clerks 3, let me know. I'll make sure to leave the contact information for the show during the Final Thoughts segment. Speaking of which, that's pretty much all we have for this week, so on to the Final Thoughts. As always, before we get to the final thoughts,
a quick word from some other shows you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Chen.
And I'm James.
We're from A Bloody Mess Podcast, the badly researched true crime podcast.
We straddle the boundaries between documentary and comedy, and our aim is to leave you laughing and thinking, wow, I didn't know that.
So once you're done with this podcast, add us to your download lists and give us a go. Have a nice day.
Bye.
There's been a murder of podcast.
Hello! Do you listen to podcasts? Did you seriously just give me that look? I knew you listened to podcasts, but do you listen to the Bare Naked Ladies? Wait, don't hit fast forward. Yes, there's a band out there called Bare Naked Ladies. They are quirky, fun, comedic, and excellent musicians. If you love alternative 90s music with a little jazz, rap, and country mixed in at different times, then you've got to try this band out. And we will lead you through a journey of getting to love this band. We have 3 or 4 people with different levels of bare naked experience. We have Aaron, who's our music expert that breaks down each song. We will try to be informative, but also, we're all friends, so we like to have as much fun as possible. If you are a moderate fan of BNL, then you'll find new experiences and information. If you're a BNL fanatic like me, then I bet you too will find a song that is a deep dive that you never knew of. We sometimes have guests after the first letter. Oh, did I not mention that? We are Bare Naked ABCs, and the ABCs represents that we discuss the songs alphabetically. So come try us out on all platforms where podcasts are downloaded. Bare Naked ABCs. And no, we are not nude during the recordings. Bare Naked, Bare Naked, Bare Naked, ABCs.
Hello, future listeners. We are Historical AF. I'm Ashley.
I'm Keena.
And I'm Natalie.
We are 2 librarians and a historian bringing the funny, weird, spooky, and morbid historical nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes every Sunday.
And once a month, we bring you extra AF episodes full of your stories and history in the news.
And we do this while hitting the giggle water and gracing the world with our foul mouths and wit.
So if you love to laugh and you like history, true crime, and the paranormal, then we are the podcast for you, and your girls can't wait for you to join us.
You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For a full list of ways to listen, go to historicalafpodcast.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can check out the photos that accompany each episode.
Yeah, bye. We'll see you soon. I don't know. That'll probably scare them away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come to us.
Come to the dark side. We have vodka.
And
Yeah.
cookies.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Well, here we are at the end of yet another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have any comments or suggestions on any of the news stories that I've covered in this episode, or if you have an idea for a news story that you'd like to see covered in a future episode, there are several ways that you can contact me. You can email me directly, hazardousverbal@gmail.com. You can use the contact form on the Contact Us page on the hazardousverbal.com website. You can also send a voice message. The Skype ID is Ichimoto1. And you can also contact me through any of the show's social media accounts. I believe I have all those links on the website. If I don't, please let me know when you do contact me. As for this episode, man, there was a lot to unpack here. Just highlighting my personal favorites, the new ban list. I'm super excited to see how this affects both my local meta and the national meta and the world meta. I was also very excited to hear about a sequel to Breath of the Wild. Kind of curious to see how they're going to spin the story on that one. And of course, the big news, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and of course, Clerks 3. I mean, come on.
We've been waiting for a Clerks 2 sequel for years. I'm excited to see both films. I know I have my ticket for Reboot here in Seattle on December 10th. And if you don't have your tickets yet, make sure to grab them. I'm sure that they're going to sell out quick, especially for the live Reboot Roadshow shows. That's pretty much all I have for this week. So I'm Shiro Chen signing off. Peace.